adulthood reshapes your relationship with change. It's the kind of change that hits different when you're not 18 anymore. And we're a long ways from 18. We're a long ways from high school. For a lot of us, we're in our early to mid 30s. And the change as we've gotten older, it stops feeling exciting. It doesn't necessarily feel exciting. It starts feeling like a disruption to stability and everything that we've worked hard for and everything that it's taken to build where we are and what we have now. That's not necessarily saying that we're ungrateful. It's just like it's become a lot to take in. And I know I'm struggling with that. And I know a lot of other people I've seen on social media discuss that lately, that like they're in a place as well as I am that we don't necessarily like change. It it's almost like we're trying to hold on to something that we know eventually is going to drift away. It's not the end of the world, but it's the reality that we're having to deal with. Clarity doesn't always come before the shift when it comes to change. Like, oftentimes we wait for like certainty and these impossible ways of knowing things before we make moves, before we do a certain thing. And most of our major life changes require us to act long before we're ready. And a lot of times we don't want to because we're comfortable, we're content, and we don't always know what's on the other side of those decisions, what's on the other side of that change. We don't always know if it's the right decision and what if it's the wrong decision. And you run these scenarios through your head like, oh, I'm older, I'm 30 ish, and I don't want to have to start over or learn something new. I don't want to have to deal with learning new people, learning new environments. It's to a point for me that like sometimes, and this is not healthy at all, like I would literally just run myself reckless into a brick wall and just be down for days and sometimes weeks at a time before I finally accept that, hey, this is going to happen whether you like it or not. This change is going to happen whether you like it or not. You have to embrace it, deal with it, and keep moving forward. Now I've wasted time, so now I have that on my back. You have to let go of the identities you've outgrown. It's uncomfortable. Again, I'm going to say that a lot. Part of a part of like adult change is grieving a version of us, that you thought you'd always be. When we 16, 17, 18 years old, we shape ourselves in our 20s to become this person, and then you get out of your 20s and you hit your 30s and it's like, oh snap, there's another change happening, there's another change coming, and you have to make room for who you're becoming. It's almost like you evolve every 10 years. The person that you grew to like as you were finding yourself from 20 to 29, and then you realize, oh snap, I'm becoming a whole different person at 30. And then you start to panic about, well, when I turn 40, I'm going to have to go through this cycle again. And it's not comfortable. It's almost like you're waiting for what's next. You're waiting for the next shoe to drop. And oftentimes we don't know how to handle that. And that's why like therapy is important. Yes, therapy is important. And sometimes you have to talk to somebody to help you navigate everything that's happening, because it's a lot to carry. It's a lot to try to process and deal with on your own. You have to learn to regulate that anxiety that comes with transition. And again, this is where talking to somebody who has the skills to guide you and navigate you and walk you through a lot of the emotions and things that you may feel, because change brings fear even when it's good. Even when it's good change, even when it's healthy, it's you still have that little fear that makes you want to like kind of just stay put. You have to learn to manage your nervous system, because just because it's just as important as making right decisions. You have to take care of your nervous system. You have to take care of your mental health. That fear, and this is that hard part that I'm talking about. It's like when the change is good and we know it's good, it's almost like that hurts the most. That's the hardest to deal with. It's like, I know this is beneficial for me. I know this is the best for me. However, you struggle with that a little bit more. It always seems like the good change is always the hardest to deal with, because you feel like that you're losing something. You're losing a part of who you are. The part of a version of yourself that you work so hard to build. You know a place that you took time to decorate. If it's like a home situation, an apartment, it's almost like losing a part of you. And I think that's fair to feel like that. The important thing is that you can't stay there. You can't dwell on it. You have to deal with it, allow yourself to feel those emotions, but you have to pick yourself up and keep moving forward. Another thing that's hard to deal with, as an adult, when it comes to change, is relationships, people, because relationships shift when you evolve. Not everyone is meant to go with you. Not everyone grows with you. Adults often change, you know, as people get families, get married, and things like that. Adults change often to expose themselves to people that align more with them and where they are. Sometimes you have to leave people behind because they no longer align with who you are, where you want to go. And your next chapter may not be a good fit for them. You may not be a good fit for their next chapter. But one of the hardest things when it comes to relationships, when you're dealing with change, is knowing that like people don't live forever. You start to look at your parents, and you start to go down memory lane. You're looking at pictures from childhood, high school, and you realize that your parents getting older. You know, faces a little bit more wrinkled. They don't move how they used to move. And you have to deal with the fact that, like, man, they're going to be gone one day. And it's the same thing with friends, your favorite auntie, your favorite uncle, your cousin that you grew up with. Like, you start to realize that, like, man, people don't live forever. And the older you get, you start to think about, man, I'm not going to live forever. And that's a whole nother conversation. But the relationship with other people changes, your relationship with yourself, and it is not easy to deal with. But again, it's important that you talk to somebody if you're struggling with that. You know, again, relationships shift when you evolve, and the more you grow, the older you get, the more relationships become complicated, and not so much in a negative way. Just imagine those people who literally have lost everyone. Some due to um, just being old, life happening, and then some due to just being, you know, that you've outgrown them. Y'all no longer are seeing the world from the same lens. Now y'all are like experiencing life at different times. You on the East Coast, they on the West Coast, or whatever. So like, those relationships have shifted and drifted off. So just be mindful and be conscious of that. You know, building new routines and habits that match your new season is beneficial to you. Because one thing we have to realize is that change isn't just emotional, it's practical, it's physical, it's mental. And you have to sometimes rebuild your entire systems, boundaries, and daily structures as it comes. Some things that worked before may not work now as you're elevating. You can't eat 20 wings like you used to because your stomach won't allow you to. You're getting older, you know? You can't use the same skincare routine that you use for 15, 20 years because now you're a little bit older and your skin is a little bit different. You got to use something else. You know what I mean? So like you're not the same person. Now, for some women it's menopause, for men it's a midlife crisis, and you have to navigate those things because you have to know what triggers you and the environments that you no longer want to be in, people that you don't want to be around, the conversations you don't want to engage in that at one point were cool. It's a part of change. It's a part of growth. And again, it's not comfortable all the time, but it's something that must be done. You have to build new routines, habits, and things of that nature that match your new season and where you are. Even if you struggle to do so, even if it's uncomfortable, accepting change in general is a lifelong cycle. It's not just a one-time event. Again, we talked about that. Like I mentioned earlier, you change from your 20s and to your 30s, to your 30s, to your 40s, and so on and so on. Adulthood teaches you that you never truly arrive. You just keep evolving. You never truly arrive. You just keep evolving. You keep adjusting and learning to trust yourself along the way, learning to trust yourself through every transition, through every season, through every obstacle. You just keep moving forward. And again, it's not always comfortable, but it's necessary. So if you're struggling with change, man, I encourage you to first and foremost identify it, acknowledge it, and then if necessary, talk to somebody about it, whether that be friends, family members, your spouse, your significant other. And if it's really something that's really, really getting to you, man, please talk to a professional, licensed professional, to be more specific, to help you adjust and navigate this thing because it's tough. So I hope that this message reaches the people that it needs to reach. And as always, thank you for tuning in to another episode of A Quick Little Word Podcast. It's your boy, Chris Wright. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check the description for all of the links. Be sure to check out the clothing brand fashions.com. Get you something nice. And then till next time, man, peace, love, and happiness.